So Wholesome Roots asked if we could do a gardening collaboration with a whole bunch of other gardening and homestead channels, and the topic they picked was, what are 3 things that you've never done before that you're trying new this season? So for me, it is gardening in a southern state while being absent, melons, and the Keyhole garden. So make sure to go check out everybody else that's part of this collaboration, and I think Rain Tree and Lumna Acres. I think there's a whole bunch of other channels doing this. Make sure to go check them out. They're going to put it in a playlist. But the thing that I think is really going to be the most challenging is that for 4 weeks I won't be here to water anything, and so it's not going to have an automatic watering system. John's going to have to come out and water every day if it doesn't rain. And on top of that, it's southern, so you've got insects, we've got squirrels, we've got mice. In the Keyhole garden, you have a problem with that you're supposed to put your compost in that cage, and compost attracts bugs and vermin. Whereas in a hotbed, because it heats up, it gets really hot and then it just turns into soil, you're not attracting critters with a hotbed. But the Keyhole garden, I think it is going to attract critters, mostly because Paige saw a mouse in there today. So we have an escaping Kaya. Kaya? So I don't know if the melons will come up because I would have liked to put them in the hotbed, but I only had room in the Keyhole garden. So they're in the Keyhole garden, which doesn't get as warm and it's not as well protected. And I happen to like the look of a hotbed a lot better than I like the look of the particular Keyhole garden that I made. But my opinion with gardening is, if you use what you have on hand, then you at the end of the season don't feel completely frustrated because you spent $1,000 getting your garden together and you only got 2 tomatoes. If instead you took from a trash pile and you created something that was better than a trash pile and you can grow your food in it, then it's a win-win situation. You get your experience, but you also get food out of it, hopefully. So those are the things that I'm working on right now. And here we have quite a bit of basil. I have onions, and John can use these as green onions. I don't have them planted out singly, so it'll mostly be for garnishes.
And they smell really good.
The basil smells really good?
Yeah.
Yeah, the basil smells really good. The onions do too. We have Swiss chard. I do have some onions split off to create bulbs. We have a lot of peas.
Carrots.
We have lots of carrots. Okay. I have a spot with nettles right here.
I don't want to
and then over here, I have quite a bit of Chinese cabbage, other kinds of greens in here. And then in the back, I have some tomatoes, some more peas, some more onions, and then in here I have quite a bit of lettuce and more carrots from the garbage seed.
There's peas over there.
There are peas over there, aren't there?
Oh, peas. Did you happen to plant any fruit?
I haven't planted any fruit. So you can see I also have some lettuce in here. We'll see how it does in the heat, but I planted it early enough in the year that I would hope that John would have a way to harvest it. I have 1 tomato right here that has done fantastically. We planted it out in February and it's done really well. And then here in the middle I have a smorgasbord of tomatoes that have come up that I actually need to section out and separate and plant somewhere else.
So, smorgasbord?
It's a mishmash and a large selection. So, in effect, what it means is that this garden is not going to have a gardener for a month, and we're going to see if it survives. And if I have this bed, which looks terrible, the bed in the front that I took apart, it needs to sink down a little bit before I can plant into it. So if we have some good rain between now and the time I come back, then it'll be in time for me to take it down because we won't be here anymore. All that work. But if I was coming back and we were staying here, then what I would do is this bed that would now be sunk, it would have sunk, I would then put soil in the top, and then I would take these tomatoes that are going to be seedlings about this tall by the time I get back. I would take those, I would section them out, and I would plant my tomatoes in this bed. But who knows what's going to happen. It's all just such an adventure. Gardening is nothing if not an adventure. And listening to myself say that, I really should stick some watermelon seeds in this bed too. The one thing is I do have some reemay over it, and I know that the reemay is not going to protect it from cold as well as the plastic did, which is a concern. It could freeze. I think the last frost date is April 15th here, so we have 2 weeks where it could freeze. And I think what would happen is I have some plastic on the other side, and if John saw that it was supposed to freeze, he could take the staple gun and take the plastic, put it back over the bed, staple the plastic down, and then this bed wouldn't freeze. And then he could just rip it off again the next morning. So that's an option. But we are going back to Idaho. I don't know if I'm going to be able to start a garden there or not, because then, once again, I wouldn't have anybody to take care of it. I have these motherless gardens all over the country. But make sure to go check out Wholesome Roots and their little gardening collaboration. Super fun idea, and I will try to get everybody in a playlist. If not, go check out their playlist. It's on their channel. They're a great channel. They talk a lot about milk goats and homesteading, and I love my daughter so much. She makes
cold. That's what I was trying to say.
She makes videoing so fun.
One of your hands is freezing cold. The other is warm.
Okay. And so we just had a lovely rain. It would be nice if it rained enough so that John doesn't have to come out and do a lot of watering. But because the beds are raised, any moisture that is in them will have a tendency in any kind of heat to just get wicked away. So the odds are of it needing to be watered every day are still pretty good. Hopefully John will get some greens out of it and some snow peas. And he has a thing against green food. So I'm not sure. What do you think? Do you think you'll eat any of it? You like snow peas.
I'm not.
Do you think you'll harvest anything? That lettuce will be ready before I get back. That lettuce will be ready in a couple weeks.
Right.
You can put ranch dressing on it.
Oh, I know. Mix it with a garnish of green onions.
Green onions, snow peas.
Maybe a little stinging nettles.
You could. Yeah. And eventually what needs to happen is this whole thing needs to come off, because everything's going to be up and over and out the sides. The peas are going to be trailing down the side, and it'll be ready to harvest here very shortly, and that's a good thing. It'll be interesting to have an outdoor garden that is ready to eat from in April. For us back home, we don't have an outside garden outside the greenhouse that is really prolific until May. Well, a lot of people don't even plant their garden until May. Kind of depends on what you plant. The eyebrows.
Just wondering if you want me to hit stop yet.
Okay.